Mr Incredible has blonde hair. Elastigirl has brown hair. Dash has blonde hair, just like his dad. Jack doesn't really have much hair, but I'm assuming it's gonna look similar to his mum's when he's older. But Violet has black hair. How is that genetically passed down? Hello there! How are you doing? Okay, I'm not the first person to bring up the possibility that Violet may not be the legitimate child of Mr Incredible and Elastigirl. In January, I made a theory questioning Violet's power set and put forward a potential plot for The Incredibles 2. And oh my, so many people commented about Violet's true parentage. I get it, okay? So technically speaking, this video has been in the works for 5 months. I've just constantly delayed making it because I don't think there is any chance The Incredibles 2 will go in that direction. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but if there's a scene in The Incredibles 2 where it's revealed that Violet's adopted or something, I will eat my hat. Also, there is evidence that it was Brad Bird's original intention to make Violet their true child. Because if you own disc 2 of The Incredibles, which you know I do, there's an alternate opening where Syndrome refers to Violet as being a result of Mr Incredible and Elastigirl breeding.
You are breaking the law, Mr. Incredible. You know supers aren't supposed to breed.
Which would imply that they, you know, she's their child. There's also this scene outside the cave where Elastigirl says to Violet,
"If the time comes, you'll know what to do. It's in your blood."
And I guess this clip could kind of work both ways. Violet, it's in your blood to be a super like your father and me. But then I guess it could also be interpreted as, Violet, I know you're not our child, unlike Dash and Jack, but trust me, I knew your parents, and being a super is in your blood. Oh, well, that piece of evidence actually completely backfired. That line really could be evidence that she's adopted. But that line having deeper meaning is one of the only pieces of evidence, other than genetics, suggesting that she might potentially not be their real child. And again, personally I don't believe it, but I've made 2 possible theories about what Violet's true parentage could be. Because, you know, I haven't made a video on Violet in ages, and there are literally fan fictions about me and Violet being a couple, and sometimes you just have to give the people what they want. The first theory is that Elastigirl cheated on Mr Incredible. Sorry, what? As I've kind of touched upon in this video, the hair colours of the family are blonde and brown. And I have a friend, don't like to brag, who is a very prestigious veterinary student and a bit of an expert when it comes to genetics. And I asked him while researching this video, what were the chances of Helen and Bob producing a dark-haired child like Violet? And he told me it would be very unlikely, but it would depend on the hair colour of Violet's grandparents, who are just completely absent from the film. Like, they're not even at the wedding, making me assume they're probably dead and we'll never get to see them. I really don't understand genetics when it comes to hair colour. I know that, like, darker hair is more dominant and lighter hair is more recessive, making me think that if Bob and Helen were her actual parents, it would more likely come from her mother's side. The chance of having a black-haired child would be much more likely if Helen were to have an affair with a dark-haired person than having one with Bob, who's blonde. I'm sure there are some of you watching who have actually studied biology and can back me up when I say that hair colour genetics is confusing. Still, Bob and Helen get married at the start of the film. After this, it flashes forward 15 years, and Violet is 14 years old. And then considering that Helen had to go through 9 months of pregnancy, it would mean that she'd have had to have had this affair within a few months of getting married. Is it even possible for someone to be that unloyal? And just the whole concept of her having an affair seemingly just goes against her entire personality. Because if she did have an affair within the first few months of being married, why would she be so agitated about Bob potentially having an affair during the course of The Incredibles? And anyway, who would she even have an affair with? Well, interestingly, this is the factor that makes the theory plausible. A character you probably haven't heard of called Zarek, who was meant to be the main antagonist of The Incredibles. He's actually mentioned in a video about the Super Coen Brothers about who the villain for The Incredibles 2 might be. Which actually kind of ties into all this, because if he is the villain in The Incredibles 2, and then it's revealed that he's Violet's real father in that film, can you imagine how big a reveal that would be? Anyway, on to Zarek, who didn't feature in The Incredibles at all, if you're just wondering how you somehow missed him. However, he did feature in The Incredibles comics, which came out after the film. He was the main villain of this comic book series, but not just this, he was revealed to be Elastigirl's ex-boyfriend. If you're wondering why he looks so old, he suffers from some disease that makes him age fast. It's not really explained very well. But he does have blue eyes and seemingly had dark hair, making him the only fit genetically and basically the only plausible person I can imagine Helen having an affair with. Because, you know, like, he's an ex and maybe she still has some old feelings for him or something, I don't know. I still think it's extremely unlikely though, because it would just go completely against Helen's character. I also just can't see Pixar dropping such a bombshell of a big reveal in a sequel to such a beloved film. But boy, would it add new meaning to this statement.
It's in your blood.
But yeah, there isn't much more evidence about Elastigirl having an affair, and I think it's really unlikely. So let's talk about theory 2, which is my most suggested theory to date. Is Violet adopted? And it's basically based around the premise that two supers got busy and had Violet. We don't know who the supers are except for the fact we know they're not Elastigirl, not Mr Incredible, and presumably aren't Frozone either because, you know, he's black and Violet's white. Violet's white. In any other context, that statement really wouldn't make sense. Anyway, where was I? Two supers had a child, and it soon came to the attention of the NSA, or the National Supers Agency, that this child had been born and had superpowers. And for some reason, these two supers that we don't know about died. So the National Supers Agency had to put the child up for adoption. But realistically, they can't just pick any ordinary family to look after this child. They need to pick two parents who are experienced with superpowers. So who better to turn to than the newlywed couple of supers, Mr Incredible and Elastigirl. This would also explain her dark hair trait, because if her real parents both had dark hair, it would make a lot more sense than the fact she just somehow got it from Helen and Bob. It would also explain why they have the child so soon after the wedding and why Elastigirl goes against what she said at the start of the film.
Settle down, are you kidding? I'm at the top of my game. I'm right up there with the big dogs. Girls, come on. Leave the saving of the world to the men? I don't think so.
Because they didn't have a choice, it's not their child, and the child was just given to them. And it would also explain her blue eyes, because this is something very few people have discussed. But using basic biology and Punnett squares, we know that Mr Incredible has 2 recessive blue eye genes, whereas Elastigirl has 1 recessive blue eye gene and 1 dominant brown eye gene. Meaning the chances of having a blue-eyed child or a brown-eyed child are an even 50-50. But then to produce 3 blue-eyed children is a chance of 12.5%. And if you don't think that's low, imagine if you got 12.5% in a test at school. I know this isn't 100% accurate and is pretty basic biology, but the point still stands that it's highly unlikely. On the other hand, if Violet's adopted, meaning they've only given birth to 2 blue-eyed children, that's much more likely. Having 2 blue-eyed children in this circumstance is basically the equivalent of tossing a coin twice and getting the same result. Heads. It was heads. First time heads. Second time... Okay, I dropped... Heads! I told you! I got heads! Meaning if Violet was adopted, the chances of all the kids having blue eyes is technically more plausible. Was that too much of a stretch? Yeah, there isn't much evidence for Violet being adopted either. It's just the fact that she has black hair and there isn't much evidence against it. And since we have no idea who these super parents that could have given birth to her might be, we just don't have enough evidence to know if this theory can be true or not. And again, looking at it from a realistic perspective, I can't see Pixar making such a huge, risky reveal in a film they've made us wait 14 years for. Expectations for this film are already through the roof, and they haven't even released a trailer yet. And it will get negative feedback if they try and pull off a reveal like this. Yeah, to be honest, as fun as it would be for one of these theories to be true, I just can't see Pixar taking the risk. But we won't truly know until The Incredibles 2 comes out, but personally I just think she's just a rare genetic abnormality. Or she just dyes her hair. Why didn't I suggest that earlier? That would have made things so much easier. This video could have been 5 seconds long. Sorry for wasting your time, but if you did enjoy Theory 1 or Theory 2, make sure to leave a like and discuss them in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to check me out on Instagram. I really want to hit 10,000 followers. I know this video is going to get 10,000 views. I'll probably get 100,000, so just follow me, okay? Also follow me on Twitter. I'm trying to hit 10k on there too, but that's a bit more of a long shot. But at least make sure to subscribe, okay? If you enjoyed this video and want to see another video like this one, make sure to check out this video about Violet's power set, or check out this one about the science behind super children, like how superpowers are passed on. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.